Hey, real quick before we get started, I just want to give a big shout out to Zachary Burgett. I'm really not sure, but he's the one who made the new song on the intro, and he's also the one who made Goudy Road. So of course, big shout out to him. Love the stuff, man.
Let's now do a little segment that I like to say is my favorite segment of the show. I would like to think that it's your favorite segment of the show, because you tell me that it is. It's a segment that I like to call DSP News, and during this segment, we talk about news.
I don't know who he's trying to fool here by saying that people tell him that this is their favorite segment of the show. If you're really even willing to call this the show, most people just refer to it as a pre-stream. But I've never heard anybody say anything positive about DSPN, because he gets all of his stories from Twitter headlines, and he doesn't even bother to look into the stories before he gets on stream and just starts giving his audience the same drivel that he always gives them. The only thing that DSPN and actual news networks have in common is that they typically don't cover any positive stories whatsoever. It's all negativity all the time. So at least he's got that going for him. But of course, that requires you to memory hold the fact that he's supposed to be a positive, meaningful style streamer.
Is the Rockstar leaks. And these leaks are based off of the fact that a hacker hacked Rockstar about a year ago. It was that same kid that he's not a kid anymore. I think he's 18 now.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. DSP couldn't go out of his way to figure out whether or not the kid was actually 17 or 18 when he committed the crime. He just thinks that he's 18 now. And I know that might seem like a small nitpick, but it's just one of many times that DSP has done this throughout his stupid news show. Show, of course, being in quotes.
But basically, this is the person who hacked Rockstar and leaked all of those assets for GTA 6 all over the internet. And now it just dumped like all the data. Like the data had basically been mostly hidden, but now it just leaked. Okay? So you ready for this? Grand Theft Auto's 5 source code that was stolen by the GTA 6 hacker was leaked. So the entire source code for GTA 5 is apparently on the internet. Alright? This code showed something called Rockstar's Rage engine, which I believe is their graphical engine or whatever, whatever the games are running on. So that's been leaked on the internet. It showed an early version of the GTA 5 map, which is very different from the one that ended up being the final GTA 5 map. That's kind of interesting, right? It actually showed, get this, Bully 2. It confirms 100% that Bully 2 was in development. It actually was being made. And they canceled it. Okay?
Okay, DSP, do you want to get to the point of the actual story, please? Can you get on with your point? Because the way that you deliver this is nothing but sigh-inspiring. And not a light sigh either, a very heavy, exasperated sigh. Because it seems like you're trying to waste everybody's time. That's why it's important that if you actually have something to talk about for your news show, that you're actually knowledgeable on the subject, or you have some sort of rough idea of what you're going to say before you get there. Because it's very clear that you had no idea what you were going to say before you got here, and that's why it's taking you so long to actually get your ideas across. Because anybody who actually values their audience's time would have just run down a list of all of the things that got leaked and what it confirmed and then talked about it afterward. But just like everything with DSP, of course, this also has to be a very long and drawn out segment. But I promise that there's gold dust in here. We just have to make it through.
It also showed that GTA 5 had a series of DLCs planned for it. All single player content. Okay? Including a DLC called Agent Trevor that ended up becoming the Doomsday Heist in GTA Online. A prologue DLC that was going to be a full North Yankton expansion explaining the backstory of Michael and Trevor and their criminal group as they were basically planning that big bank heist that opens up GTA 5. Liberty 5. They were actually going to have a Liberty City expansion for GTA 5 where characters go to Liberty City and have missions and stuff going on in Liberty City.
I mean, this really shouldn't come as a shock to anybody, though, because Rockstar themselves said that they had planned on doing several single-player DLCs a la GTA 4. And of course, if Rockstar stated themselves that they had intentions of making single-player DLC for GTA 5, obviously they kind of already had an idea of what they were going to do with said DLC. I mean, it is kind of interesting to hear what ideas they did have floating around and what their intentions were going to be, but obviously that never came to fruition. And speaking of things that never came to fruition, obviously I meant to say Rip Bully 2 just a few moments ago. I just kind of glanced over it, but it's never too late to rip.
All of this was already in development. 100%. They were making it. Okay? In addition to all of that, because that's not even the worst of it, in my opinion. All right? It was also revealed they were working on the possibility of other games. They were probably going to make another Midnight Club racing game, perhaps. All right?
So let me make sure I got this wording right. They were working on the possibility of other games, and they were probably going to make another Midnight Club racing game perhaps. I'm sorry DSP, but you just don't sound too sure on this. It kind of sounds like you're just taking stabs in the dark, which isn't exactly a good look for somebody who's supposed to be reporting on the news. I mean, maybe if you showed your audience some sort of evidence as to how you came to that conclusion, it would be an acceptable practice. But you've been known to extrapolate information from something that doesn't actually exist before. So I'm gonna have to ask for a source on this, unfortunately. And no, your source cannot just be that you made it up. So guys, you don't have to comment. I know.
They were actually in the early development cycle for making some kind of Grand Theft Auto based in Tokyo, Japan. Okay, and then it was actually revealed they had 8, yes, that's correct, 8 different story DLCs planned for GTA 5. 8 DLC. So you thought, oh, The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony were great DLCs for GTA 4. They were going to make 8 of those. Okay?
Man, they really did plan on milking the GTA 5 player base one way or another, didn't they? Don't get me wrong, I loved the GTA 4 DLCs. Ballad of Gay Tony was fantastic, and I enjoyed The Lost and Damned. But to release 8 full-length DLCs like that, or so DSP is claiming, like, that's a lot of content, and that's definitely asking for a lot of money from the same player base again and again. But who knows, maybe it could have made GTA 5 that much more interesting. I guess the world may never know.
So you might say, I don't get it, what happened? Right? Why didn't they make any of that content? GTA Online. Because there's all this evidence that basically when GTA Online essentially started printing them money, they never saw that happening. They thought GTA Online would have some kind of success, but that it would be kind of a side project for a side group of developers to work on, and then all their core developers would continue to make the great single-player content that had always been the staple of Rockstar Games. But when GTA Online started becoming so popular, and had all these people playing it and dumping money into the microtransactions, they rerouted some efforts. And then when it got bigger, they rerouted more efforts, and they rerouted more efforts. In fact, it's rumored that the only reason that Red Dead Redemption 2 actually did come out is because it already had been further in development than any of their other projects. So essentially, for them to pull the plug on Red Dead Redemption 2 and say, just work on GTA Online, would have cost them more money than it was worth. They already had too much time and money invested in it at that point, you see?
I love that DSP said there's all this evidence that this is what happened. The GTA Online made them so much money that they canceled all of these projects, and there's so much evidence, but then couldn't list one single piece of evidence for us to go find. Couldn't show us a single thing. Couldn't point to one interview. Couldn't even read the article that he's reading this from for us to tell us what this evidence might have been. And then he starts to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, and he goes, oh, it's rumored that that's the reason it didn't get the plug pulled. Okay, so we're just going based off of rumors now. We don't actually have any concrete evidence of anything then. Fantastic. I'm so glad that we could do the news segment.
But basically, if they had had their way, they would have literally just canceled every single possible thing that they were working on at that studio and only made GTA Online content because it was making them so much money.
Well, DSP, what do you really expect them to do? I know that you don't know how to operate a business and you have this weird aversion to making good decisions that will continuously make you money, but most businesses don't have that aversion. Most businesses are entirely interested in making money and making money only. It's kind of their entire job as a business, is it not? And I get it, you can be upset because you wanted to play that content. I agree with you. I am also upset when companies that make things that I enjoy decide to go all in on the money instead of actually putting out quality products. I 100% understand that and I agree with it. But to sit here and be as upset as you are and will continue to be throughout this segment, it's just not worth it, man.
This is a classic case of where art essentially suffers because of commercialism, profits, right? Because when you really look at video games, yes, absolutely, they're supposed to be products to be sold for profit. We all know. I mean, that's how they get financed. No one's making a video game and says, oh, by the way, here, just have it for free because I like making games. Okay, maybe that does exist. Maybe there's some indie games that do that, right? But any of these big budget games, we all know that that's how it works. They have to make money while they're also providing some kind of an artistic experience to humanity, right?
See, DSP, but I think that that's where you're getting lost. These huge AAA studios don't have the heart. They don't care that much about making an artful experience for humanity. That's not what they're in this for. They are here for the money through and through. If you really want to support studios that are here for the art, that actually want to make a good gameplay experience for you, you should be buying more indie games. You should be going out of your way to support those indie studios, but you don't. All you ever care about is the AAA studios, and that's why you get these experiences. That's why these companies continue to do this. You are the problem. But But I'm kind of jumping ahead because he's totally gonna blame everybody in his audience, including us, in a second, my bad. But to go back a little bit, absolutely, if Rockstar and therefore Take-Two Interactive could make money for doing literally nothing hand over fist, absolutely they're going to. They would be bad businessmen not to. And that's what they are at the end of the day. They're businessmen. Businessmen that hire artists. But at the end of the day, the businessmen are on top.
Ideally, you want a balance of both. You want something that's an amazing gameplay experience, an artistic experience that's meaningful to society and culture, but also makes money for the company. All right?
I like games, don't get me wrong, I've always enjoyed games ever since I was a wee baby lad, but I think it's very strange that he's sitting over here expecting games to be meaningful for society and culture. How about the games just be good? How about the games just try not to take all of the money out of my pocket so that I can play them? That's where we should start. We don't have to worry about being very meaningful and robust to society yet. We'll get there when we get there. DSP's over here like video games are gonna make world peace and solve world hunger.
What ended up happening was GTA Online became so profitable, they literally forgot the fact that they were actually game creators. They didn't care.
Or what are you talking about? They didn't forget they were video game creators. They continuously updated the product that was making them money over and over again, GTA Online. I'm not the biggest fan of GTA Online, but their audience was there, their fans were there, and they were happy with playing GTA Online over and over again, hence why they kept doing it. Aren't you Mr. Minimum Effort, Maximum Profit? You should totally empathize with Rockstar's situation here. But of course, Rockstar and therefore Take-Two Interactive are huge companies, and DSP just hates any company that makes money because he doesn't, I guess. I mean, of course he does, but it all gets funneled into Scopely's bank account very quickly, so he never really sees any of it.
They were rolling in so much money that they didn't feel like it would matter. They basically, it kind of is the same deal what happened with Epic Games and Fortnite, right? What has Epic Games actually done since they started making money with Fortnite?
I mean, if you ask me, continuously fumbled the bag, but that's because I'm an Epic Games hater. In reality, they are desperately trying to make their storefront the storefront of the PC world. I don't think they're doing a very good job of it, but they definitely want to be big contenders in the space. And they are throwing a lot of time, effort, and money into making that a reality. Like I said, I'm an Epic Games hater. I will refuse to use their storefront forever. In the same way that I'll refuse to use launchers like EA. But to sit here and act like they're not doing anything with their money, that they're just milking Fortnite for all it's worth and not doing anything is just absurd. I can't tell you how many games I've just refused to play now because they were Epic Game exclusives for multiple years at a time, and then they finally came to PC and I'm not interested anymore. I guess shout out Epic Games for that. They made me save some money. Cool, I appreciate it.
I mean, they bought a couple studios. Like, they bought the Fall Guys studio, and what happened? Fall Guy fell into disrepair and now is almost dead, right? They made a store to distribute games on PC, the Epic Games Store. What else have they done? Did they make another game that was good? No, because Fortnite essentially makes all them money. So why would they bother doing anything else?
But you seem to have it backwards. Fortnite is making all of the money so they can go do anything else. That's why they're trying to go into the storefront market. And I forgot to mention earlier that the games industry as a whole very much benefits from the Unreal Engine existing. The amount of games that uses the Unreal Engine are absolutely insane. So any and all improvements that Fortnite money is putting into the Unreal Engine so that they can continue to develop one of the most used engines in video game history, I guess go for it. At the end of the day, it's not my money, and if you're having fun playing Fortnite with your friends and buying all of the skins or whatever, go for it. Who am I to stop you?
And this is the sad fact that these great game companies, right, just seem to get almost corrupted by money. Rockstar didn't used to be about that. And then when GTA Online came out, there was a complete flip in management and direction, and that's all they care about. And I hate to say it, but I have to say it. And I know a lot of you are going to be upset with me, but I don't care because you know me, I'm an honest guy.
Oh boy, get ready folks, because anytime that DSP says that he's about to be honest, it really just means that he's going to have a garbage take and probably offend most of the people in his audience.
Every single person out there who's played GTA Online in the last decade, and you invested insane amounts of time and money into it, you have to understand you have to take part of the responsibility for the fact that Rockstar didn't make content for 10 years. You know that, right? Like, if you wanted GTA 5 expansions, and you wanted Bully 2, and you wanted Midnight Club, and you wanted all this other content, the fact that you were sitting there on GTA Online, spending all of your time in it, dumping money into it constantly, that's why those games and expansions do not exist.
I mean, kind of, in the most roundabout way possible, though. But there was never really any hint from Rockstar that these things were being developed. They had mentioned that they had planned for them to be developed and released, but they never really gave any indication that it was actually being done. They never showed any teasers. They never gave anybody anything concrete to go off of. So you've got this huge audience playing this game and having fun with their friends and enjoying it and wasting their time the way that they want to waste their time. How are you going to sit here and scold them for that? I say this all the time, but there's times when I agree with DSP at least part of the way, and this is kind of one of them, but I always take issues with the way that he comes across. You really shouldn't yell and scold this large swath of people for just spending time how they want to spend time. You can disagree with what they do and the fact that they're essentially giving Rockstar money for nothing content, but to outright blame them and honestly sit here and act like you're better than other people because you didn't do that is absurd. This is why nobody likes you.
That's why we're a decade later and we still don't have GTA 6. Because I hate to say it, people don't want to live with the consequences of their own actions. They want to feel like they can do whatever they want, and they have absolutely no responsibility whatsoever.
Dude, what is this huge projection right now? We're talking about video games. People don't want to live with the consequences of their own actions? Not to quote Sir Moist here, but it's not that deep. We're not talking about committing crimes. We're not talking about some sort of weird business contracts. We're talking about video games. Something that at the end of the day doesn't actually matter literally at all. Like out of all of the things that matter in life, video games are 0%. But yeah, sure, whatever. People don't want to live with the consequences of their actions, I guess. Let's totally just memory hold the fact that the peak of wanting to live without the consequences of your actions is actually filing bankruptcy. Like, I understand there's plenty of reasons why people file for bankruptcy, and they do just kind of get into situations sometimes that they could not have seen coming, and they have to file for bankruptcy in default. But that's not what happened to DSP. What happened to DSP is he doesn't know how to spend money. He doesn't know how to properly plan. He doesn't actually understand how to run a business whatsoever. And he has a huge gambling addiction. So when he ran out of money, quote unquote, because he was giving all of it to Scopely and Total Wine, yeah, he absolutely ran away from all of the consequences of his actions. The consequences of his actions being all of that debt. That's why I said this is massive projection and peak irony.
And that's wrong. That's not correct. That's a factually wrong statement. It doesn't matter how much you want to pretend, but the truth is there's cause and effect in life. If you behave in a certain way and you reward certain behaviors, those behaviors will continue. Okay? Why do you think it is that Nintendo, as a game development company, ignores its fans all the time? Because no matter what Nintendo puts out, the rabid fan base goes and buys it up and slurps it up and douses them with money.
And like I said, you can absolutely disagree with the takes that these people have and disagree that Nintendo was putting out banger after banger product. That's fine. Again, I don't really disagree. I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan. I like Nintendo games sometimes. I own a Switch, but I'm not going to slurp up every Nintendo product. But when it really comes down to it, the people that are buying these products, the people that are slurping up that content, they must be walking away with content that they think is worth the value that they're asking. And it's not up to you or I to decide what these people value and don't value. The only person who can make that decision is them. And it's the same exact case for Fortnite, and it's the same exact case for GTA Online.
For how long do people say, we want Switch Plus, Switch Pro, we want a better Switch because the Switch sucks. The quality is bad. We need a better graphics engine. We need, or a better graphics card in there. We need more powerful processor, more RAM. We want a better screen, better controls. We need to have a Nintendo console that's on par with everyone else. What does Nintendo put out? The Switch OLED. Literally the same exact console with a couple minor tweaks, but you bought it if you're a Nintendo fanboy, right?
By DSP's logic here, you just shouldn't buy any product that has slight improvements to the product that you already have because you want more improvement. So if one day you would like to have an electric car that has a battery that lasts like literally years or something ridiculous, you absolutely shouldn't buy another car all the way up until that point because it's not the exact thing that you want, so you just should wait. If one day you hope to see a gaming console that has 8K resolution and 120 FPS guaranteed, you absolutely shouldn't buy the PS8 or whatever that's gonna have at least 60 FPS guaranteed in 4K resolution at all times. Because that's not exactly what you asked for. Minor improvements aren't good enough. And I know with the Nintendo Switch, that's not exactly a one-to-one analogy or anything, but we're just following DSP's logic to its logical conclusion.
So will Nintendo ever listen to your feedback? No, because they know that you're basically gullible. You'll buy whatever. Because of the purchases decisions of Nintendo fans, Nintendo will not listen to fan feedback. They know that people will still spend no matter what, so they don't have to listen.
The fact that he can say that with a straight face and not see the parallels between that and him are absolutely insane to me. That is one-to-one DSP. He doesn't have to listen to viewer or fan feedback because they're just going to wind up giving him money regardless of what he does. So why would he bother listening? It's so much easier to just do whatever he wants to do knowing that these dents are going to continue to give him money. Almost the entirety of this segment has just been huge projection.
It's the same thing with Rockstar. Directly through people's actions for a decade, what Rockstar found out is that it doesn't matter what they make, they just have to make stuff that prints money, and people will keep coming back.
So we said it doesn't matter what they make as long as they keep making the thing that makes them money. So it absolutely does matter what they make because they have to keep making the thing that is making them money. What are you talking about, dude? I get what he's trying to say. It doesn't matter whether they put out a quality product or not because they know that people are going to buy it regardless of what they put out because they're Rockstar. I totally understand what he's trying to say. The problem is the way that he's saying it doesn't make any sense. And again, you could just replace the word Rockstar with DSP and it absolutely fits. It doesn't matter what DSP puts out as long as he continues to put shit out, he's going to continue to make money. And that example goes even further because he has also been learning that for the past decade straight, just like Rockstar. The parallels are uncanny at this point.
It didn't matter that they didn't make GTA 5 expansions. It didn't matter that they dropped all their other franchises that they had in development. Bully 2 would have been amazing. And they were like, oh well, since people are going to pay us for this other stuff that's easy to develop, might as well just keep making the easy to develop shit and rolling in our money. And that's literally what they did for 10 years. And everyone's like, gee, I wonder when the next game's coming out. And then they would boot up GTA Online and buy another car.
Well, what did you want these people to do, DSP? This is a game that they are enjoying. This is a game that they want more of. This is a game that they want to continue to play. When there's no evidence on the horizon that they're going to be getting any new significant content in the form of a sequel or a different game, why would they go play anything else if that's the game that they really want to play? In the same way that I really would love to see an Elder Scrolls 6, but there is no evidence that they are even close to being done with Elder Scrolls 6. So you know what? Anytime I have a hankering to play Elder Scrolls, I'll just go relaunch Skyrim, unfortunately.
All right, now listen, if you're okay with that, then that's fine. But there's so many people who are like such hypocrites. They're the biggest bitchers on the planet. Oh my God, I can't believe GTA 6 still isn't out. Yet you're still playing GTA Online. You're part of the problem.
Please notice that he completely dropped the qualifying statement of spending money on GTA Online, and now it's just if you play GTA Online, you are part of the problem.
You're literally one of the big reasons why. You have contributed to the degradation of gaming culture. Do you understand that? Just like the people who just sit around playing Fortnite all day. There's nothing wrong with playing Fortnite at all. Enjoy the game for what it is. But if all you do is sit around and play Fortnite, broadcast Fortnite, spend money on Fortnite, and act like Fortnite is the end-all be-all of gaming, you are a detriment to gaming culture as a whole. Do you understand that? You are.
This guy is absolutely insufferable when he gets on his moral high horse and wants to sit here and act like he's some sort of arbiter of what is and isn't okay for gaming culture as a whole. Are we gonna really sit here and act like DSP hasn't been a detriment to gaming culture as a whole? People always want to talk about how games are being simplified, how they're being dumbed down for the common man. DSP is a prime example of that. So much so that DSP's video game footage was actually used during a developer conference to show effective methods that they use to handhold the player throughout the entire game. You know, all of those very hard to miss icons that pop up on your screen when you're playing a single player game so that you absolutely don't miss some sort of content? Yeah, those are because of DSP and people like him. You know, in a single player game when you have to solve a puzzle and you get about 15 seconds into solving it and the character just tells you the answer out loud so that you don't actually have to think? Yeah, that's probably because of DSP too. At least I can ignore skins in video games and just not purchase them. I can't unhear the answer to the puzzle during a single player game. So thanks for that, DSP.
Same thing for people who only play Call of Duty. All I do is play Warzone all day. So you're a detriment to gaming culture as a whole because you refuse to broaden your horizons. You only act like that's the only pertinent thing. How many content creators who only play Call of Duty then scream, oh, there were no new games this year that were any good? They're morons. From their very narrow worldview perspective, they refuse to look around them at all the insanely good games that came out in 2023, and instead they just complain that there were no good FPSs. Then fucking play something else and stop being an asshole who only tries to make money on FPS games because that's all you're good at. Actually, use your brain a little bit.
Who is DSP to tell other content creators what they should and shouldn't be making content on? He's gonna sit here and tell other people that they shouldn't be relying on FPS games that they're actually good at to make their content and they should do something else. But when DSP gets a brand new game and it doesn't do well, it's his audience's fault. It's the game's fault. It's the game developer's fault. I mean, in this example, at least the FPS player is good at FPS games. I've never seen DSP be good at anything. And again, it's ironic DSP telling other people to broaden their horizons when he only plays AAA studio games and he plays almost almost no indie games. He's the one that's always going on about what games are coming out and constantly telling people, oh, there's no new games this month, guys. We got a dead month. We got to fill the time. But then refuses to play all of the indie games that are coming out that month. All of the indie games that have come out in past months that he completely glanced over and didn't give a second look. Even when those indie games are absolutely popping off online and making a bunch of other content creators rich. Sound good? Sounds good to me. And by the way, categories.
But that's the problem with so many people, is that they just hyper focus on the one thing that's easy, the one thing that somehow is a payday for them or whatever. And that's the absolute positive wrong way to go about all this. It just is. As gamers that are now getting older, we have to be more responsible with what we promote, with what we buy, with what we say is good. Because we have to be careful that we're pushing this upon a generation that's very gullible, that believes everything we say, and that will just consume on a command.
Are you serious right now? You're serious. You're gonna sit here and lecture other people about how these younger generations are just going to consume on demand when you are the king of consumption. Your favorite thing to do is spend money and buy shit that you don't need. We're just gonna memory hole all of the stupid shit that you bought over the years, the statues, the expensive car that you didn't need, all of the stupid collectibles, really. Every AAA game, even though they weren't good, a metric ass ton of Blu-rays that you probably never even watched, and of course all of the Hogans and DoorDash. The king of consumption ridiculing other people for what they are willing to purchase. And why the hell does he think that just because he's an older gamer that he has to pass on something to a younger generation? None of these players are Jasper. They're not your family. You don't have to pass down shit. In fact, I think the world would be better off if you didn't pass anything down, because all of your opinions are dog shit.
Right? Do you really think Fortnite would have been as popular as it was if there weren't so many capitalistic streamers jumping on it, dyeing their hair to look like cartoon characters, acting like fools, and trying to make money off of children? No, it never would have been that big or popular. It's because people are predators.
You talking about Derek? But again, there's some validity in what DSP is saying. Would Fortnite have been as big if people didn't stream it and hype it up? Absolutely not, but that goes with anything. If people didn't talk about a product, would the product be as big as it is now? No, of course not. That's how these things work. But you're not gonna sit here and convince me that without Ninja streaming Fortnite, that Fortnite would have made zero money and would have been an absolute flop that nobody played. And it's wild to hear him sit here and say that these streamers are predators who are preying on these kids who are just enjoying their time watching other content creators. They're not selling them drugs. They're not doing any sort of illicit activities whatsoever. They're just watching their favorite streamer play video games that they also enjoy themselves. I personally don't agree with any kids giving any streamer any money at all, but that's not really here or there. But I know that DSP couldn't agree to that because he'd be making much less money than he is now.
All right? Same thing with GTA Online. This is a thing. It was an online community of people. At first, it made sense. Then all of a sudden, you get people who are constantly streaming, the role playing, this, that. Everyone's got to buy this car. Everyone's got to do this heist. It becomes an online culture, a predatory culture.
But when does it become predatory, DSP? You really need to draw the line if you're going to take this stance this hard. Because if you ask me, this is just a bunch of people making their own fun because Rockstar was, again, refusing to give them the actual game that they wanted. So they were filling their free time the only way that they knew how. I mean, it's not the only way that they knew how, but the way that they wanted to, in the game that they wanted to play more of.
And next thing you know, all people care about is what people are telling you is good, rather than actually looking past that. Say, wait a minute. It's been 5 years. Why is there no content coming out from Rockstar yet? What is going on? Duh. And then you spend another $100 on the next crib, right? It's like, so what did you think was going to happen? That's exactly what happens. We all have to take responsibility for our actions.
Yes, please take responsibility for your actions in this instance. If the action that you took was having fun with your friends and enjoying the time that you could spend with them, yes, absolutely take responsibility for that. Because it was not your direct decision whether or not GTA 6 was coming out and when it was coming out. The only thing that you had control over was whether or not you made memories with your friends and had an enjoyable experience while you were on this planet. DSP is just such an old curmudgeon that he doesn't actually understand anymore that you were meant to be having fun with these games regardless of whether or not it's new.
Me as a content creator, I try to cover a variety of stuff for you guys because I feel like that's the responsible thing to do and to tell you honestly what I think about it, right? When I played GTA Online at first, I did not like it. I played it again. I did the first heist, and I actually thought the first heist was decent, but I wasn't in love with it, and I was like, I could see the potential, but I could also see how this is a huge time waster. It reminded me of like those virtual online communities like Second Life or old, remember PS Home? That's what it reminded me of. So how the fuck did it become so popular? Because of content creators.
Oh, obviously it was content creators. It has nothing to do with the fact that it gave you an open world that you could mess around with your friends in and make your own fun and do a bunch of different scenarios and objectives and game modes that you could, again, just make your own fun in. This is coming from the guy who made Slip and Slide Kings on Red Dead Redemption back in the day, where he was literally just jumping off of cliffs and getting blown up to watch the ragdoll effects. But he doesn't understand why GTA Online would be popular, when it has all of those missions and all of those game modes and all the different cars and weapons and things that you can do. Makes sense to me.
That's why. If there was no generation of content creators to tell you that this very, very drivel level shit was good, no one would be playing it. People would have played GTA Online for a year and dropped it and moved on to the next thing. But because you get this entire online community of content creation and pushing it for profits and getting paid to shill, that's why we are where we are.
But he completely left out the fact that Rockstar has been steadily putting out content for GTA Online since it came out. And there was some pretty big content drops for GTA Online, as much as I don't play it and don't care to anymore. When Heist came out, they were big and they were a lot of fun to do with your friends. When they started having those businesses that you could do, where you could create a motorcycle club, or there was lowriders in the game now, like that was cool, that was fun to check out. It added a little something to GTA Online. None of that has anything to do with the content creation side. That has nothing to do with other people telling you that it's good. I did check out some of those updates and had fun with my friends when I did it. But of course, that's the biggest issue for DSP, isn't it? He doesn't have any friends. He didn't get the real experience of playing GTA Online because he never experienced having any fun with friends online. And GTA Online at its core really is a social experience. You're not meant to be playing it solo. You're supposed to be having fun with your friends.
That's why we haven't had a good Rockstar game in 10 years, besides Red Dead 2, which was good, but that was already in development. Everything else was dropped because of this. And that's fucking pathetic. This is what's going to happen is gaming culture, sadly, is going to become a situation where the only games that anyone plays are the ones that make the most money.
And that doesn't even make sense. People are going to play the games that they're drawn to, the games that have the aspects that they're looking for. If what you're looking for is battle passes, a game that's constantly updated and just stupid fun with your friends, you might wind up playing things like Fortnite. And that's totally fine as long as you're having fun and you value the time that you spend there. But people who value other aspects in their game, whether it be a rich story or some sort of RTS style system, they're not going to play the game that makes the most money. They're going to go where those games have those aspects. They're just different demographics, and they really always have been.
Regardless if they're actually good. Regardless if there's a good story or anything like that. How many games out there have terrible stories, but people are playing the fuck out of them anyway? Why? Oh, it's addictive. Yeah, but is it addictive because you actually like the gameplay or because everyone's playing it online and you want to be a part of that community too?
And there it is again, DSP just doesn't understand what it's like to have friends and be in a community and have that social aspect be something that is important to you. I spent so much time back in the day playing Battlefield 4, not because it was a great game, even though it was mostly because I had a ton of friends that were playing Battlefield 4, and when I got off of school and I just wanted to do something with my friends, I would hop in a game and we would just pal around all day, blowing shit up, stealing tags, shooting people from across the map. It was fun. I had the same experience with Payday 2. Is Payday 2 the best game ever? Absolutely not. But I had fun grinding and it was something that I could do with my friends. So many good conversations and good memes happened while we were just grinding out Payday 2. And to me at the time, that social aspect was so much more important than whatever actual good gameplay could have been going on.
And I get that. But you have to understand that that's a slippery slope that you don't want to go down, because if everyone just plays games because they're popular, that's when everything becomes shit. We have been saying very recently about YouTube, we just talked about this on my React show recently, did we not? That why does everything on YouTube seem fake and the same? Because YouTubers have found a way to create produced content that's completely fake, but follows the same formula. And everyone watches and digests it, and these people become millionaires making that garbage content.
But that's entirely dependent on whether or not that gets recommended to you in the algorithm and whether or not you're actually interested in seeing that content. If you don't indulge in that style of content, more than likely it's not going to be continuously recommended to you. I've never watched a family vlog channel, and you know what doesn't get recommended to me? Family vlog channels. I understand that he's talking about overproduced and fake style content, but it's really the same thing. If you continuously watch underproduced, original content creators, you tend to continuously be recommended more underproduced and original content creators. It's all about what you want to see and what spaces you want to hang out in. If you want to watch a corporate style YouTube channel about bikes or something, you absolutely can. I'm sure there's a ton of them. But if you want to watch guy in his basement works on bike and tells you what he thinks about him, you can absolutely watch that too.
but people are too fucking dumb to realize what they're watching is fake. They think it's good, real content, and they continue to watch and support it because they're stupid.
Maybe they're not dumb and think that it's real content, DSP. Maybe they just find it entertaining. I understand that there's a lot of reality television that is scripted and entirely fake and not real at all, but you know what? I find it entertaining sometimes. It's totally worth my watch, even if it's fake. Because at the end of the day, that's what the content is really there to do. It's there to entertain you. It doesn't have to always be real. Not everything has to be real.
And we have a growing population of people on Earth that are dumb and just believe everything they're told. They don't realize they're watching a paid advertisement when they're watching a product placement in a video, or someone being paid to play a game or paid to advertise a game in a possible way. You know what I mean? Like, this is bad. People need to wake the fuck up. GTA Online is currently the textbook case. Now that we have this data, this concrete data.
Concrete data that you haven't shown your audience a single piece of, but still managed to go on this entire tirade. Nice.
That Rockstar was going to make all these great artistic works in games, and they were all canceled because people wanted to play Drivel for 10 years. That's bad. We need to actually use this as the case example to say we have to stop this behavior. It's not just about what's popular for money anymore. It's actually about improving fucking people's brains and humankind. Remember when games used to be challenging and fun and different? You'd get a meaning out of you played a game?
Yeah, DSP, I remember when games were fun and challenging and different. In fact, one of them is actually coming to mind right now. And you know what DSP did with that game? Even though his audience was asking for it for months, he continued to not play it until the very last moment when he was absolutely forced to. Yes, absolutely, I'm talking about Baldur's Gate 3 right now. A game that gave you tons of content, a bunch of different choices to make, took player feedback and incorporated into all of the updates, had fantastic graphics, a great story, and absolutely fantastic voice acting. But DSP decided to buy Modern Warfare 3 and play that instead. Isn't it funny?
Now you play games like you're just fucking around, man. Right? Oh, I turned on GTA Online today. I fucked around. I dropped some money, by the way, but I fucked around in it. What the fuck? Then you'll never get anything good. And it's the same thing with Warzone, all these repetitive, nonsensical games that are just gaming for the sake of gaming to feel like you're part of this big thing on the internet now. Enough of this shit.
Again, sometimes it's not about feeling like you're some sort of this big internet community. Sometimes it's about just having fun with your friends after a hard day of work or a hard day of school. But of course, you, again, would never know anything about that because you don't have any friends.
It's time to grow the fuck up and grow some brains for ourselves and actually start acting like responsible humans rather than just going with the flow and being like a cow chewing your cud or a sheep following a fucking mentality that everyone tells you to have because they make money when you do.
If you remove that from this context, talking about video games and Rockstar specifically, you could replace this with him and DoorDash, and it absolutely makes sense 100%. But of course, DSP is incapable of any sort of introspection at all.
Why do you think they tell you that? I have skipped Grand Theft Auto Online for the most part. I played it at launch, and I played the first heist, and that was it. That's literally the extent that I played GTA Online. Did I miss out on anything?
Yes, you actually missed out on a lot. None of it was earth-shattering or groundbreaking, but there was definitely a bunch of content that you missed out on and never got to experience. There was a bunch of memories that you never got to make with your friends because you didn't want to do all of the heists with your friends like I did back in the day, and many other people did as well. But you're not interested in that. You're not interested in actually having fun and making memories and enjoying video games. If it's not meaningful for society or culture, then I guess you're not interested. What an asshat.
Can you name one thing that happened in GTA Online in the last 10 years that was so culturally important for gamers as a whole that the fact that I didn't play GTA Online that I really missed out? Name one fucking thing.
Exactly like I said, it's because you're looking for something that's meaningful to the culture or something like that. It's not good enough to just be fun anymore. It's not good enough to just be enjoyable. It also has to be meaningful, robust, curated gameplay or something. Get over yourself, DSP. You'd come off as a much more likable person if you did.
I rest my fucking case.
I hate bits like this because he's just sitting in this disgusting room by himself. Does he really expect voices to just start coming out of his camera that he's looking into when he does bits?
You made these people rich, you ruined gaming culture, 0 games came out of Rockstar besides the one that was in development, and we all suffered because people were dumb. And it will continue. Nintendo will do the same. Call of Duty and Activision will do the same. Madden will come out with a game every year that's trash. These patterns will continue until as consumers we wise up and we stop rewarding mediocrity for the sake of being part of a virally popular thing because you're told to do it because people capitalize on your bad decisions. Wake up.
So I better not see DSP buying any more AAA titles. No more Call of Duty, obviously. No more God of War. I better not see any more Nintendo games, point blank period. That's just gone now. It's gotta be indie titles from here on out, or else he's the exact hypocrite that he's complaining about during this entire segment, which was way too long. But that's gonna be the end of today's video. Hopefully all of you made it through the slow start so we could really get into the meat on the latter half of it. I was thinking about cutting it, but I thought it was relevant to the context, so I went ahead and left it in. And since I got the clip for this one by myself, I'm gonna give another big shout out to Zach Burgett, the guy who made the song in the intro. He also made Gowdy Road, if y'all are familiar. Super cool guy. His band just released an album. Fair warning, it's really experimental, but if that's your thing, I'll definitely leave a link in the description below. Go to check it out. Of course, shout out to everybody who watched the video. I really appreciate it, especially if you made it this far. Thank you, thank you. And big ups to all of my members. You guys are awesome. I can't thank you enough. But hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video. But until then, make sure that you check out other detractor channels and dive deeper into that. Snortex.